We're going on tour. Finn versus History live.
Okay,
wow!
In real life.
Wow!
3 dimensions.
We're in October. We're going to be taking this cruddy old show to
this horror show of
Bristol,
accents.
Newcastle, Glasgow, Manchester, Leeds, Birmingham, London. You can get tickets
now.
If you're a Patreon, if you're a
Soon.
truther, you can get access to the pre-sale, which starts this Thursday,
Right.
the 24th of October. If you're not a truther, then tickets, whatever's left, will go on general sale this Friday, the 25th. Hot shit. Shit in my mouth.
Out of my arse.
Into my mouth. Shit in my mouth, that's exciting.
Wow.
We'll see you guys there. Welcome back to Finn versus History. I'm here with Horatio Gould.
I like white bugs.
And today, we are finally dipping our toes in the warm bath of scientific racism.
Hot.
It's lovely, it's actually.
It's nice.
Come in, the water's lovely. This is the second part in our Darwin series. We rattle through the life of Charles Darwin, boring nerd, and now we're getting to the fun stuff, which is what people do with his ideas.
It was the most vibey science got, really. Just sort of free form.
Just
avant-garde.
guessing at shit.
Yeah.
So, 1882.
It's total
Darwin's-
football.
It's the total football of racism. This.
There's no set positions.
There's no rules. Well, there are rules. People can make their own rules. There's no wrong answers.
Yeah.
How big's your head? All right, I'm going to pay you less. It's it's crazy stuff. So Darwin dies in 1882, but his ideas
Live on.
Yeah. And then they stop with a hard stop in 1950.
Right.
When people go, we must stop this now. That's what I love about this is that the science is they're so front-footed. Let's try this.
The future.
Maybe it's what their nose is. What the shape of their nose. Maybe it's the head. Maybe they came out of an egg. Why are we all different colours? And then the 50s they went, no more of this science. The science is over. Science is done. No more.
But you can't be trusted to play around with these ideas.
I know,
anymore.
that's what I mean.
The thing.
That's the thing. And so now it's this kind of untapped, it's this unfinished. Everyone's gone, no, we don't want to know. Whatever it is, we don't want to know. Who cares? We don't know. You can't be trusted. You went too far. The Germans took it too far. Again. We're not doing it anymore.
I mean, all the Nazi stuff, they stopped a lot of things that were just getting cooking.
Yeah. Like,
and they just
armbands. Can't have an armband anymore. If you're a politician, you can't wear an armband. Can you?
No.
Even if it's like a thumbs up.
Yeah.
Thumbs up.
No.
And it's like red. Red thumbs up. No, that looks like the Nazis. Brown shirts. Can't really wear a brown shirt anymore.
Even being organised.
Yeah.
You get called a Nazi.
It's a bit Nazi, isn't it? Just turning up on time, you fucking Nazi. Well, you've ruined punctuality, have you? That moustache. Can't have a little moustache.
Yeah.
Done.
That's gone. It was Chaplin's first. He was doing it to
I know,
mimic
but
Chaplin.
fucking no one.
I'm a Chaplin fan.
Yeah.
No one believes you.
You can't walk into a pub with that going, is that a Chaplin moustache?
No, I'm a
is it?
cinephile.
So the Nazis ruined many things. Chief amongst them is the pseudoscience of scientific racism.
Yeah.
So in this episode, we will be dealing with Darwinism, social Darwinism, which leads to eugenics, which is it's all quite lighthearted, fun stuff.
It's like a carry-on film.
Yeah, I will reiterate, if you're of a weaker stomach, maybe skip this one and go watch The First Crusade or something, one of his ones. One of the medieval ones. This is where I'm going to really start cooking.
Okay.
So, cooking on gas, you might say.
Well,
we'll get there. We're warming up. So, Darwin's ideas are not in a vacuum.
right.
So Darwin publishes The Origin of the Species, 1859, and then The Descent of Man, 1871. He dies in 1882. The 1870s and 1880s are a hotbed of thought.
It's a lot of after-dinner clubs. He's part of the Athenaeum Club. They're all chatting away.
There's lots of...
It's a frisson.
There's white guys chatting.
Yeah.
Why are we so great? Is mainly the topic.
We must get to the bottom.
Why are we the best? And why are all these brown guys the worst?
Yes.
What's going on?
Right.
Why are we the best? So there, obviously, this is the height of the British Empire.
Yeah.
The sort of latter half of the 19th century, 1870s, 1880s. The scramble for Africa is coming. Yeah. So 1880s. Where are we? 1880s.
So 1880s. I want to say 1880 is after the invention of the xylophone. And then
Okay.
it's before the invention of the pen protector.
You did the last one, didn't you?
Yeah, but it's before the invention of the pen protector.
Pen protector.
You know, sorry, on your pocket. Have you ever seen any? It's maybe the nerdiest thing you can have.
Is it like when you get a lammy and they come in that little wallet?
Sorry, not pen. It's a pen pocket protector. So I've seen, the writer of Cherub. You know the Cherub series, the horny books
No.
about like young secret agents fucking each other
No.
for kids.
Sounds great.
And then none of the you know about the Cherub series. You know about a Cherub series, you horny little dog.
What's the Cherub series?
Well, this is all of our sexual awakenings. Was the Cherub Spy series about? It's a classic.
Some of us had their sexual awakenings to Red Bull by Brian Jacks.
Robert Muchmore is
These fucking hot shrews in
Do you not know about that? Yeah, so it's like a school for spies. They're classic,
like
thing.
Spy Kids.
But yeah, kind of. But they're 14 years old, and then he describes graphic sex scenes, and you're 14, and none of our parents knew that we were reading basically erotic thrillers.
But it
was written by this guy. He came to our school, and he had a pocket here, not only pens in there, but there was a protector to protect his pocket from his pens. And I believe...
Yeah.
This is before then.
I'm just saying that in our last episode we spent a lot of time looking at mugshots of paedophiles, and I can sort of imagine this guy fitting in.
Yeah,
quite well.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Well, okay. There you go. So
Robert Muchmore child porn on my hard drive.
Gentlemen's pens are not. Their shirts are not protected. They don't have a condom for pens in their shirt. Yeah. They're raw dogging pens in their jackets.
Right.
And presumably they're using ink cartridges. There's no biros at this point.
Is it? I don't think the ink cartridge has been invented yet.
Wow, is it quills? It's not quills, is it?
When was the ink cartridge?
Fountain pens are around.
Oh, fountain pens? I don't know.
People are writing racist shit in fountain pens.
I guess there's industrialised. 1890.
Fuck.
Just.
The cartridge system is 1890, but fountain pens are surely already around.
But how do you do it without the cartridge system?
You're dipping in a pot of ink.
That's a quill.
No, basically. It's a fountain pen.
Yeah, but that's still the
dip. They're not using ostrich feathers.
Yeah, but it's still the dip. Sorry.
Dipping.
The cartridge is what I'm struggling with.
So people are writing these ideas in a fountain pen, and they're thinking, if only there was an easier way to write this heinous racism, and that comes quite quickly after this. So no, thank you.
It is quite funny writing racism with a quill, though. With like, I do think that there is a clear rank to racism globally.
Yeah. Stop to dip. Yeah, it gives it slightly more class, doesn't it?
Yeah, you get so passionate and then you're running out of ink. Oh, I need to get this racism out of me.
Well, this is when racists could write. They were literate.
Right.
Nowadays, racists are obviously thick.
Yes.
Whereas
uneducated.
What I love about this era is that racists are the cleverest people on the planet. This is when, like, the genius, he's got a 300 IQ. He's fucking racist. Whereas now, racism is a sign of stupidity and ignorance.
Yeah.
Where it's the height of intelligence and enlightenment is to think that black people came out of eggs or something. Like, that's what's so funny is that scholars,
are phrenologists.
They're measuring skulls.
The thickest people you went to school with are phrenologists.
They don't even know the term phrenology. That's how thick and racist they are. So Darwin dies in 1882, but towards the tail end of his life, his seminal work in 1859 on the origin of species and the preservation of races in the struggle of life. Now, as we discussed, he meant the races of cabbage, but his cousin Francis Galton, he thinks, he's like, I get you. You mean races. Now, this is not in a vacuum. We should start to place this with other ideas because white guys in Europe...
And a vacuum hasn't been invented at this point.
They don't know what the vacuum is.
All right, fine. So there's two things.
Yeah. So sorry, his ideas are not operating in a dustpan and brush. That's what they'd understand it. We should, white guys in Europe have been thinking about why they're the best in their heads. Why are we so much more developed than these people whose we've taken their land and their resources?
All their stuff.
Why these people? Why can we just take people's stuff and they're not doing anything? What's wrong with them, right? So you have there's several different theorists. Now Malthus, that's in the late, this is French Revolution.
Yeah.
He's an English guy, Thomas Malthus, but this is less to do with race. This is more about class.
Yes. Brilliant stuff.
He writes an essay in 1798 on the principle of population.
Yes.
Basically, he thinks that a nation's food production will the improvement will always be temporary because it will lead to population growth, which will then the population will always be outstripping food production, which means that people will always suffer and be hungry, and so you should kill the poor. I think the last one's quite a big jump.
I think because I think he was a cleric, right? He was Christian, which is it's hilarious because it's so funny that he has Christian values, basically saying we should starve the poor. Dirty are the meek, basically.
Yeah. Ugly and thick are the meek.
Ugly are the meek.
Stinky are the meek.
That famous Jesus
saying.
But there's this example of like
I'm going to turn 1,000 fish and 1,000. Not for you.
He has this example of you're at a middle class dinner party and then some starving people come on over and ask for food, and as much as your human instinct is to give these starving poor people food as charity, he says the higher charitable thing is to not give them food and hope they starve to death.
Well, that's what they say on the Overground, isn't it? If you see someone begging, don't give them food. Instead, think about donating to this charity.
It's Malthus.
Yeah, it is. It's Malthus.
Yeah, but he says he just misses out the donate to charity.
Yeah, he thinks just make sure they starve.
Yeah, make sure that if they're a dead poor person, they're not sad, are they? They're dead.
They're dead. Yeah, but this starts.
You can't be hungry if you're dead.
You're not hungry when you're dead. So, but this is kind of like now the English Victorians, they start to, around the time of Jack the Ripper in the 1880s, they are massively concerned with
overpopulation of the
poor because they're reading Darwin's ideas about evolution and they're not really thinking about birds. Darwin's just thinking about birds and bugs. Right, and people are taking his ideas and going, well, a lot of people are poor, and so if they're having loads of children, then those children are going to be poor.
He kind of looks like a giant tortoise.
Yeah, he looks like a giant. Can we eat that poor person? But they start thinking that poor people are going to overwhelm the rich, and that if it's a struggle for survival, if evolution is a struggle between species, they basically think that poor people are a different species to rich people.
Well, you have white replacement theory, which is pretty popular in American mainstream
now.
The idea of white people being outbred, basically.
Yeah,
Tucker Carlson says stuff about white replacement.
This sort of starts, but in more of a class sense. In the 19th century in England. You also have some very, very wacky ideas. There's a guy called Cuvier, a French guy.
Right.
He says that Adam and Eve were white.
Okay. Well, they are in all the drawings in my school books,
exactly,
to be fair.
And all the drawings he was doing, they were white. and that black and Chinese people came out basically because there was a disaster, and then survivors escaped in different directions, and then they developed in silos.
Yeah. So Adam and Eve were just for the white people. That was our origin myth.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Benjamin Rush, who is a founding father of the US, which I think is relevant, he believes that everyone is actually white, but that black people have some kind of leprosy, which means that it's non-contagious, but means that underneath the black skin is a white person. And he founded the US, which I think says quite a lot about what the US then go on to do.
Right.
Is that he thinks that's what black people are.
So Benjamin Rush thinks all black people in the US are Justin Trudeau in his 20s.
Yeah, exactly. Stop partying. Take that makeup off.
We've got work to do.
We've got work. Yeah. Put your
Stop fucking around.
Yeah. So guys, before you pick your cotton,
get that bloody shit off your face.
Put your makeup on. Put your makeup on, then pick the cotton. That's what we're doing. So he's one of the founding fathers. Thomas Jefferson, big race guy.
Yes.
He goes.
Thomas Jefferson, complicated. We should. Thomas Jefferson, great.
We'll get to Thomas Jefferson sometime. But
he's got some amazing stuff.
Yeah, he builds on the ideas of Rush.
Yeah. Jefferson was the super horny one, right?
I think he was having sex with his slaves. I think.
Yeah, but he had like 25 children via like 4 or 5 different slave women, and he only he must have like 14 slave kids, right?
Yeah.
And he only set like 2 of them free. Right. The rest he was like, no, brilliant.
More slaves. Make your
it's like having a chicken.
I'm making employees. Yeah, it is. It's like a chicken. Well, great. I'll just I'll eat those eggs and then I'll leave those to hatch and I'll have more chickens.
Yeah. I mean, it's like when you have a dinner party and you've picked a sprig of rosemary from your garden or something and you're bragging to your friends.
I agree with that. Yeah. You see that guy picking the rosemary? Yeah, he's my kid. Do I love him? Sort of, in a way.
Yeah, I love the stuff he does for me.
You know, I love my employees. I love what they give me.
I'm a good boss.
Do I pay him? No, I don't pay him. I don't pay him. He's my son. I don't pay him. So Francis Galton we need to deal with. Francis Galton is Darwin's first cousin, and Galton cannot get the evolution as applied to people out of his head.
Can't.
Darwin's basically been like, this is all about,
mate,
this is bugs, this is plants, this is mushrooms. Galton's like, fuck all that. I reckon it's about why some people are Chinese and some people are white. So he basically is, as we mentioned in the last series, he's a Victorian polymath. In many ways, a brilliant man. But if you go on his Wikipedia, the first thing they bring up is eugenics, not the fact that he made the first ever weather map.
What's a weather? What does that mean?
The first ever
Met Office
like
stuff.
Clouds and shit.
Right.
Like you you have in a paper now, where you've got pressure and temperatures.
Right.
He's Michael Fish.
Right.
He's Victorian Michael Fish.
Stop reading weather maps now.
You know Thomas Schaffenacker, the weather reporter.
Oh yeah.
The guy who did that.
Yeah.
That's all you remember him for.
Yeah.
You don't remember about that weather map.
Exactly.
That's just like this cunt.
Yeah.
Everyone's like, oh yeah.
But should we be boycotting
the
weather
eugenics
maps?
guy? No, he invented the weather map.
But maybe we should chuck weather maps out of the paper because they're linked to racism.
They're not linked. It's just the same guy. He did a lot of things. How many things have you done?
I guess not many.
Podcasts, stand-up, sketches.
Eugenics.
You know.
I don't want to be remembered for my treatise on
on the hierarchy of races. Exactly.
I've done other stuff.
You've done other stuff.
I've got a special out on YouTube now.
He's got a special on YouTube. He's not just ranking races.
In that special, I do rank races, but that's irrelevant.
He's a dog. What? He what?
Wait, no. He didn't invent a dog whistle.
Did he invent a dog whistle?
No,
Are you
way.
fucking joking?
He invented the dog whistle. That's fucking crazy.
This is insane.
That's fucking...
Sorry, the man who invented eugenics invented the dog whistle. But can we just get a moment to appreciate?
Let's get that Galton's whistle.
Can we? Because the cosmic irony that eugenics, which is the least dog whistle racist thing of all time, because it's just like, let's kill everyone who's not.
Was it like an air horn? Was it?
Eugenics is a racist air horn.
A dog air horn.
Dog air horn. Leave that ball alone. Galton's whistle. Yeah, because he did a lot of stuff for deaf people. He made an instrument to measure hearing in deaf people.
So deaf people, he get his racism into their ears.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, sorry, it should be said all his inventions were to try and advance eugenics. So the weather map was like, okay, it's raining here, so we shouldn't kill anyone there. We can't set fire to anyone there because it's raining.
I mean, is that an exclusive, pretty much, that the inventor of eugenics invented the dog whistle?
You're not hearing that on the rest of history. Goal hanger aren't touching this topic with a fucking barge pole. Did he invent the barge pole as well? Is it Galton's barge pole? My God, that's absolutely insane. They can't have, when they invented dog whistle, when they named dog whistle racism, they can't have known.
No, surely not. Galton's whistle. Fucking hell.
Fuck me. And people say they don't learn anything on this pod.
It's just a load of bollocks.
Absolute load of bollocks.
In politics, a dog whistle is used as coded or suggestive language in political messaging to garner support from a particular group. Explain what a dog whistle is to people who wouldn't know the other form of it.
Yeah, so it's Nixon basically invented this form of talking about race without actually overtly saying it. So it's we've got to sort out crime in the urban centres, and so we've
got to stop everyone with afros doing crime all the time. Yeah. Well, that's not a great one.
That's not that. I mean, they sharpened this tool over. They were refining it. But basically, it's a way of mentioning, it's so that people who are racially minded, who think about race a lot, they can pick up on the code,
which is the frequency we can't hear if you're not racist.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't think there was not much dog whistling. I think in like South Africa, they don't feel like very dog whistly racist.
No, as you say,
get the blacks off my land.
That's not a dog whistle. That's, as you say, that's an air horn.
What's better than blacks?
Yeah,
all right. At least some disguise on the pass.
No, it's a very direct form of racism. It's overt. It's loud. It's out in the open. But I guess in America, obviously, this is post civil rights. So if you want to talk about race in a negative way, you've got to use Galton's whistle. I mean, that's
eugenics
absolutely
whistle.
But right. So
what else he invented?
These are all the things he invented, right? So eugenics, behavioural genetics.
Why is that top?
Regression toward the mean.
What's that?
That's an average. I don't know. I'm not math. You like maths? You got glasses. You got glasses. Come on, Milhouse, work it out. It's like a statistical thing.
It's one where oh fucking hell, that's boring.
Yeah, I mean a lot of them are boring.
Standard deviation. That's something I hear that all the time.
Anti-cyclone.
Wait, standard deviation, is that not just a minute? When they say
no, that's hesitation. the isochrone map. I don't know what that is. What's that? Yeah, fucking weather
he loves
maps.
that. Yeah, keep going.
That looks like an arsehole.
Let's see Galton's board.
Galton's board. What's that? Is that something you strap people to?
A device event. Oh, right.
Demonstrate the central limit theorem.
Right, fucking
Yeah,
hell. Let's
okay.
keep going
Galton
through.
distribution.
Galton's problem. Let's see Galton's problem.
I reckon I know what his problem is. It's just black people.
It describes his problem as drawing it. Right.
Inferences from cross-cultural data.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Look,
I guess.
he's a three-dimensional character.
That's absolutely fucking crazy.
I mean,
anyway,
he's a true Victorian.
Yeah, he is.
This is people of this age. It's you invent world-changing things and modern racism. All things good and bad are invented by English polymaths in this period.
He's Elon Musk, is what he is. In that he's doing rockets, he's doing electric cars, and he's just opening a sewer on Twitter. That's what it's. I guess Musk is kind of the only modern day polymath there is, really, that anyone would know.
Yeah.
You can't be a professional polymath now.
Yeah.
Although I guess could you call people who like are Uber drivers, delivery drivers, and it's all driving, isn't it?
Yeah. I don't know what a polymath.
People are chicken.
Are we polymaths because we do podcasting and stand up?
No, it's all comedy. It's all racist. Oh, do you like that guy's racist stand-up? We like his racist podcast.
Can you be a polymath if you're in a polycule and that your varied interests are your 5 different girlfriends and boyfriends?
I don't know.
I don't know if you're a
polymath. Yeah, no, I don't reckon. Yeah. I mean, the irony is that the polymaths in the Victorian plays, they were fucking one person.
Yeah, right.
If at all. So, wow, what a scoop. What an absolute scoop. Yeah. Francis Galton, he coins the term eugenics because he starts to apply... he gets the Malthusian ideas of population control.
Yes. Explain again who Malthus.
So the idea is that we should let poor people die because it's natural selection.
Yeah.
The whole
Malthusian's
point
good.
The whole point is that you're using Darwin's observation of adaptation to survive, which means that weaker species die out because they don't adapt. You're applying that to social dynamics of poor people and in English context, it's the Irish. It's getting rid of the Irish, basically.
And we've worked with Irish people for a lot, and I do think we should bring some of it back.
Look, every idea, there's some sense to it, of course. Vittorio's got a fucking massive head. I mean, you can't help but think, what's going on in there? So it's in the 1880s, people are also on the ground in the colonies. They're getting their phrenology cranes out.
That looks like an Indian head massage, but it's not that, is it?
Well, the original Indian head massage was not to cause an orgasm; it was to measure your head to see how stupid you were.
But was that the way that they tricked people in? In many ways, how they in the death camp said you're going to have a lovely shower, and then it was a gas chamber.
Yeah.
Instead, they're like, "Do you want a lovely head massage?" Oh, that's brilliant! And he's like, "Oh, that's so nice!" And then it's like, check the measurements.
Yeah, you're medically thick, I think. So you've got Herbert Hope Risley, who's a guy he's one of the
Risley.
Herbert Hope Risley,
Master General Herbert.
he's risen people. He's risen people. And he's I think he's one of the administrators in India, and he's
dangerous.
He's measuring noses. He's measuring how flat the nose is, and he's then dividing
a lost art.
Yeah, I mean, again, this is something that the 1950s, they just drew a line under noses. Yeah. The science of noses is dead in the water. What does it mean if you've got a big nose? Yeah. Nothing. Don't lift that rock up. We know what happens. But so again, now at some point they divide. Some French guy says there are 3 races. Yeah. There's Caucasoid, Mongoloid, and then another one that we don't really feel comfortable saying. But you can sort of work it out. Now, if you get the map up...
now, is there something almost progressive about 3 races?
What do you mean?
Is the more races or less races more progressive?
Because, again, there's been this long struggle, or rather this long academic debate of are we like mono whatever or poly whatever? Right. Are we all from the same... origin?
All out of Africa. Well,
are we all out of? Well, at some point they say out of Asia.
Yeah.
Are we all out? Do we all come
Chinese
from the same?
Still believe that as well.
Hey, what?
A lot of Chinese people still think it's out of Asia.
Yeah, but they basically they're always at every point they're trying to classify races.
We love procedure in this country. We love we love an inquiry.
We love data gathering. All this is just data gathering.
Yeah.
It's nerds.
We just happen to be unbelievably racist at the time.
Yeah, but again, in this day and age, racists are the top of society.
Yeah, right.
They are the cream of the crop.
Right.
It's just, you'd say you must meet my friend, the esteemed racist Dr. Galton. Nowadays you'd say scholar and a gentleman. Now you see a scholar and a racist.
Yes, yeah,
scholar
yeah,
and a bigot.
yeah.
So Galton takes these Malthusian ideas with Darwin's ideas about natural selection and starts talking about eugenics, which is the basically politically implementing social Darwinism.
Social engineering, basically.
Essentially. Yeah. So it's in the 1880s, as I was saying. In
so maybe this is an age where, so often if you're doing crowd work, you meet someone who's an engineer. Mm-hmm. There's lots of different types of engineering. You can be mechanical engineering. Software engineering. You're probably making more money.
Civil engineering.
But this is actually a time where if you're a comedian at the time and someone says they're an engineer, they could say, "Oh, I'm a social engineer."
I'm a social engineer. Yeah. I try and stop poor people breeding with rich people.
I'm like the Isambard Kingdom Brunel of stopping poor people have kids.
Yeah, in Britain it was mainly class. They thought that the Irish and the poor people were outbreeding rich people, and so they tried to. There's something called positive eugenics and negative eugenics, and positive eugenics is where you're breeding up. So you're like, great, you two went to Cambridge, you two fuck. Negative eugenics is right. You're in a wheelchair. You're thick. You two breed to try and breed down. So don't muddy the genes of the rich guys. That's what the idea is. Now,
there's a lot of air quotes. This whole episode's in air quotes, by the way.
Or it's ironic, or whatever you need. Whenever you need to get through it, just have a fucking drink and get on with it. Have a stiff drink and turn this one up.
Well, blast it.
Blast it. I reckon. If you're in the car, wind your windows down.
Well, the weather's getting better.
Drive through Brixton. Let's see what happens.
Do it so loud the neighbours can hear it out in the garden.
It's a summer pod. This one's a summer pod. If you're at the queue at Wimbledon listening to this, be a fucking.
Wimbledon's a bad example because I think secretly they love this.
They love this sort of stuff. All right. If you're at the Oval,
the Wimbledon queue is social engineering. Because only white Protestants are going to wait in a queue that long.
That's true. Well, no, hang on. It's a chicken and egg thing.
Right.
It's not social engineering.
Right.
Are you saying that...
They've engineered it to make sure that only the waspiest people in the world... Because I've been there. I went there to do some content for some fucking gin brand.
Yeah.
And it's the snootiest, cuntiest white people you've ever seen.
It is.
And they absolutely love it.
The whole thing's a quiet carriage.
Yeah. It's the most Protestant
I queued for
place.
6 hours and then didn't get in.
It's like the shittest Bergheim.
It's
like the opposite of Bergheim.
Yeah, it is. Queued for 6 hours, didn't get in.
Then, belly full of strawberries.
Yeah, just strawberries and then fitted myself. So in the 1890s, you've got the scramble for Africa. People are measuring skulls, they're measuring noses, and Francis Galton is trying to get government to implement eugenics policies, which... proudly, I'll say this proudly, never happens in the UK. There is no government, state-sponsored eugenics policy ever done in the UK. He starts a society called the Royal Society for Eugenics or something.
Yeah.
They're handing out
Royal Charter.
They're handing out pamphlets.
Yeah,
it doesn't really work.
So it's similar to Oswald Mosley trying to be British Hitler. It just never gets off the ground.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. In Britain, it never takes off. In America, they fucking love it.
Yeah, brilliant.
They absolutely love this in America. So there's another guy called Herbert Spencer who ends up being the biggest philosopher in China because they buy into all this shit as well.
Really?
And Marx is a big fan of him. Marx is also a big fan of Darwin. But Darwin hates Marx.
Interesting.
Yeah.
But they're all hanging around London at this time, right?
Yeah, so Herbert Spencer is actually buried next to Karl Marx in Highgate
Cemetery.
Right. But Herbert Spencer's a massive eugenicist.
Okay.
It was kind of, as I say, it was kind of a cool thing to be. It was like a eugenicist in the late 19th century.
Right.
It was that's where the hip technology was.
Bisexual.
Yeah, they're the bisexuals. Yeah. Nowadays, if you're queer, that's cool.
Yeah.
You get you get a seat on the bus.
Blue badge.
Do you reckon?
Well, I don't think it's cool to have a priority seat. I don't think it's oh, fucking hell, they're cool. Let's give them a priority seat.
Do you reckon that's what Tucker Carlson thinks is happening in the UK?
Yeah,
is
London.
that you have to give up your seat for your seat for a queer person? Why can't they got a badge saying queer?
But Tucker Carlson's view of London is he thinks it's this, should be this.
Yes.
And he's come here and he's...
Well, eugenics is...
And he's walked down Whitechapel and he's like, what the hell?
Eugenics is basically the mirror image of critical race theory, isn't it?
Right.
In that, like, on the one side, you've got the far left people who are like, the world, like, you know, taking privilege to its logical extent, and we have to like intervene because no matter who you are, if you're like your race determines your life because of society's.
Well, there almost used to be a reverse social engineering to make sure that we balance the.
Well, now it's
power
it's basically nature
possible.
versus nurture, isn't it? Critical race theory says because of nurture, because of how racist society is, your life is determined by your race because of social factors. Whereas this is saying you're basically born thick if you're the wrong race.
Yeah.
Right. So it's basically just a mirror image of the same thing. Yeah. Right. Anyway, so Galton in America, they fucking love these ideas.
Each time he's publishing a paper, it's like the new Harry Potter book.
Yeah. Like people are queuing outside for the new iPhone.
They're finishing it.
They're getting photos like, oh fuck, what's this one going to say? Who's the worst race? So. The eugenics movement gains traction in the US, inspired by the work of British scientist Sir Francis Galton, Sir.
Yeah, of course.
Of course. He's a polymath.
Yeah. For his services
he invented
to racism.
The dog whistle. He invented the dog services to racism. He invented the dog whistle. Supported by philanthropists, because it's seen to be a philanthropic thing, right? If we can breed out alcoholism, if we can breed out alcoholism, then we can, it's like lessening
the word
suffering.
philanthropist has really been muddied in this era.
It's doing some heavy lifting at this point. So the Eugenics Record Office is established in Cold Springs Harbor in New York under the leadership of a guy called Charles Davenport. Who I think might be an American Nazi. I'm not sure. No. Anyway, so this develops the idea of selective breeding.
Right.
And there's a photo that I sent. Charlie, can you get the photo up of the placards that I sent you? Because people are protesting in the street for eugenic policies. And there is this photo, right, of people holding up signs. So this is people on a sidewalk, right, in America, and they're holding up a placard. I must drink alcohol to sustain life. Shall I transfer this cruelty to others? And then there's one on the right is my favourite. I cannot read this sign. By what right have I children? And so this is basically, essentially, it's disabled people holding signs saying that they should all be killed.
What?
Would the prisons and asylums...
Are they doing it satirically, or are they...
No, these are pro-eugenics protesters in early 20th century New York.
I cannot read this sign, but by what right have I children?
Yeah, so this is basically people... Now, I don't know whether he...
But this is like the recent disability protest against Rachel Reeves' policy.
Yeah, except...
But it's for.
Yeah. It's the same people going, I don't want to be supported by the state.
Cut more!
Cut more! I want to feel something.
They're holding up pictures of Rachel Reeves like the Ayatollah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Death to us! Death to us!
More steps, less ramps, less lifts. Lose the lift. I want to be carried more. I don't want food. I want adrenaline.
Would
the prisons and asylums be filled if my kind had no children? Right. So these are now.
That is fucking.
I know. I don't know
nuts.
whether these people are genuinely. I mean, the second one looks a bit funny. I reckon he's got something going on. But I don't know whether these people are genuinely disabled. But is
it a false flag?
False flag attack could be, but so there is.
That's also awesome.
That is awesome. I mean, that's
able-bodied
awesome.
guys just going. I'm disabled. You should kill me.
Well, they're not. It's nothing. It's not about killing, right? That's not about killing.
It's about making sure that this never happens again.
It's about
you're getting let off with a warning.
Stop saying killing. The Germans take it that far. In the early 20th century, the Eugenics Record Office, the extra parliamentary charity. It's a charitable foundation. It's a philanthropic foundation. Yeah. It's what it's proposing is involuntary sterilization. Instels. Right. They're trying to make instels out of the population, which is where if you are mentally disabled, which we'll get to how they class this, then you are basically, you can't have kids. They just chop your balls off, right? That's the philanthropic...
Against your will.
It's the...
it depends.
They would argue they don't fucking know what's going on.
Right. Yeah, but it's like, I have a broken finger. Why are you...
Chop it off. This is how, in the early 20th century, they would class people. Now, for people listening, this is it's like a staircase, and at every point in the staircase, there's a quite offensive drawing of someone.
If I was on Spotify, I'd go over to the video now.
Switch to video now. All these terms are things we use now, but back in the day, these were in the psychiatric pseudoscience. These were terms. So. At the very, let's go top to bottom. Right. At the very top, you have what's called a moron, and that is someone who is really trying to get onto the work that requires reason. I didn't know
there was a rank to it.
Yeah, they're ranked. So the moron is the least stupid. So a moron is the moron can handle complex manual work, and they're trying to get to what would be the normal, which is work that requires reason and judgment.
So what jobs are morons doing these days?
So
is it like an estate agent? Do morons work at Foxtons?
No, I'd say complex manual work. That's like what would that be? I don't know.
A Sparky, like what?
Yeah, you'd say all electricians are morons. Good luck getting any fucking house renovation done. So, complex manual work is Sparky.
Work requiring reason and judgment.
Right, moron. Then you have, one step down, what's called a high-grade imbecile. And these are people who can only handle simple manual work.
High grade doing a lot of the heavy lifting.
Exactly. It makes them feel better. You're an imbecile. You're a high grade one. You're a top notch imbecile.
I mean, it's tall as water, literally.
So simple manual work.
Smartest thick person.
High grade imbecile. You can handle simple manual work, which I guess is like what, painting?
Or complex manual work, it says. So that's what I mean.
No. Moron are on the complex manual work step. They're trying to get to work that requires reason and judgment.
That's why I was... Okay, they're trying to get to a
high-grade
job at
imbecile are trying to get to be a Sparky, but they're too stupid, so they're stuck on the step that's simple manual work, which is just painting, I guess.
Right.
Then you go down, you have medium imbecile.
Finger painting.
And these are simple mental work.
Menial work.
Simple menial work, which I guess is like stitching or something.
Right.
Or like, finger painting. Then you have a low-grade imbecile, which all they can do is self-preservation. That's all they can do.
Right. They can
they can stay alive, but they can't work.
Right.
Then you have an idiot who can't even stay alive. So the idiot is sort of drawn, kind of collapsed in a heap on the bottom of the staircase because they've fallen down because they're a fucking idiot. So that is how... What's amazing,
absolutely unbelievable.
This is psychiatry in the early 20th century. So now, when people are like putting fucking ADHD, autism in their bio, back in the day, they were putting high-grade imbecile. They were putting like, I need extra time in my exams because I'm a low-grade imbecile.
Yeah. Proud moron.
I'm an idiot.
This kind of makes more sense why. So there's someone at uni who was incredibly woke. This is 2016, height of wokeness.
Pete woke, yeah.
She told me off for using the word idiot.
Yeah.
To describe a thick cunt I knew.
She was fine with that phrase.
To describe this absolute spaz. But she said idiot it comes from like it has bad origin, right?
Yeah.
It's like a true ableist language. And I was like, but what else do you just describe as stupid people?
Yeah.
And she couldn't get through it because I'd say moron. She said no.
Yeah.
I just kept going through it. They all have bad origin.
Well, that's right. The word spastic now.
Do you know what she landed on?
Yeah.
Not clever. It's got to be more diverse.
No, it does.
There's too many stupid people.
You need a noun.
Stupid, she said, you could say
You
stupid.
need a noun.
You need something.
Yeah. You can't just say
Live
that
a
person
little.
who's not clever because the person who's not clever can't understand 5 words in a row. So you need a noun.
Well, idiot actually meant Greek, someone who didn't really read the newspaper or whatever, or like wasn't up to date with the news.
Yeah.
That was what
But in the early 20th century, you'd say like, "Oh, I'm a carer." Or who for? An idiot. And that's politically correct language.
You're a scientist. I didn't know that term.
Yeah, I'm a scholar and gentleman. In my spare time, I actually volunteer looking after a fucking idiot.
Yeah. It's like talking about vagina and calling it the hymen.
It's like, but like now, so the term idiot now is completely harmless.
Yeah.
Right. But then
idiots aren't harmless. They still cause a lot of
they're
damage.
harm to themselves. They're idiots. They can't walk upstairs. But like much like the term spastic now, people flinch at. But when 40 years ago that was the accepted term.
Yeah.
But maybe in 100 years' time, spastic will be back again.
Right.
Well, like the way idiot is. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Anyway, so basically, what has happened here is that Charles Darwin's written a book on bugs and plants, and his cousin's gone, oh, I see what you really meant. You meant we should cut the balls off people with Down syndrome. And so so what then happens, right, is that the Americans introduce laws in 30 states, right? 32 states in America. That's a lot of states. That's more than half have eugenics laws. And, right, they think that up to 80,000 people are involuntarily sterilized in the early 20th century in America. Most of them, guess where?
Where?
Where's the prettiest place in America?
I don't know, Montana?
No, where are the people the fittest in America?
Oh, California?
Yeah.
Right,
yeah,
fuck.
Yeah, join the dots. A lot of people are bred out of California in the early 20th century. Like, there is a state-sponsored campaign of sterilizing fucking mentally
handicapped. And that's the home of the porn industry.
Yeah. Do the maths. 2 + 2 = fuck. Right? They also, I mean, a lot of this are also, I should say that I think a lot of black women are sterilized, I think, especially racialized in America. But, so...
Back to the funny stuff.
Forget that. So, eugenics...
Keep it light, Finn.
Eugenics... it really takes off in early 20th century America. There are 32 states that have states' rights. We don't interfere with states' rights.
God, no.
At one point, it's going to become a federal thing. Yeah. So Indiana's the first one. Compulsory sterilization of individuals deemed unfit, such as those with intellectual. So, Francis Bourgeois,
gone. You're out.
Cut your balls off.
Everyone doing an Edinburgh show about their neurodiversity, gone.
Gone. Absolutely gone. You'd be in the bin.
I'm gone. I'm gone. Yeah, I'm getting sterilized.
Yeah, you're getting sterilized. You can't breed. You're a danger. The American Eugenics Society is founded in 1910, and this promotes eugenics as a scientific and social policy to improve the human gene pool.
Well, both my parents have ADHD, so I think...
You wouldn't exist.
Yeah, so I wouldn't... It was just trying to stop this happening.
Yeah.
Double down.
Yeah, exactly.
Making me, like, you can't be doing that.
Look what's happened.
And I think it's right.
Look what's happened. We could have done so much...
Look at the mess you've made.
We could have done more to stop this. The first International Eugenics Congress is held in London in 1912.
Right.
Davenport, Henry Lachlan. Now, Lachlan's a big one as well.
The boys. This is a convention.
This is peak boys.
They can't wait to go to this. When they're packing, they're excited. It's like they're going on a golf trip with the boys.
Yeah.
This is
I mean, if you have to...
Davenport's going, he's fucking...
Sorry, there's no better place for an Edwardian stag do than the London Congress of Eugenics in 1912. This is also in the era of the human zoo. Are you aware of this? I did this at uni. Human zoos.
Yeah, yeah.
So this is in the height of from the colonies. This is also, the Great Exhibition, the Crystal Palace, all that stuff. And they're showing off everything they've got from the colonies. And in 1906, in New York, in the Bronx, a pygmy man called Otter Benger is displayed in between apes and other animals, and on the label is the missing link. And they basically are claiming that pygmies are like the gap in Darwin's ideas between the apes and white people. So this is happening in New York. He's just shit. Now, human zoos are a thing in the early 20th century. I think they're mainly in Belgium. Yeah. From what they're doing in the Congo. So this is the peak era of like racialized science. Marie Stopes, right? Yeah. She wanted to sterilize the Irish in London. Marie Stopes was a pioneering advocate for women's reproductive rights.
It was also a strong
eugenicist who advocated for the sterilization of those she considered hopelessly rotten and racially diseased. Brackets the Irish. Right. Isn't that amazing?
Yeah,
women's rights.
How it's like abortion is progressive.
Right. I'm really excited to tell you this. So, what we're talking about Americans and sterilization campaigns. So, in America, this is a states' rights issue. Right. They're allowing the states to involuntarily sterilize disabled people. Right. And then in 1927, someone takes it to the Supreme Court in a case called Buck versus Bell, which is essentially, it's Roe versus Wade, but it's not about abortion, it's about sterilizing disabled people. So someone goes to the Supreme Court going,
Buck versus Bell.
Buck versus Bell is Roe v. Wade, but for cutting down people's balls off. Right. So basically now, at this point, the American eugenics is industry is like flying. Like eugenics as a thing is accepted in many states in the early 20th century.
Brilliant.
Now, who should be across the channel thinking on these ideas?
Ooh.
But the Germans, our old friends. Now, obviously, it should be stressed that Winston Churchill, he's a big fan of eugenics.
Right.
He's again, it's more of a class thing than a race thing with Winston.
You know, you pick your poison, isn't it? We all like different drinks for different needs.
He's a man of his time. What is a lot of people don't realise is that after the First World War, a lot of American companies get very, very rich off rearming the Germans.
Right.
Right. So the German and American like early Hitler, late Weimar, early Hitler, and capitalist Golden Age America.
I love those albums from early Hitler.
Early Hitler's capitalist America. There's some really great stuff. But so the Ford company, basically all
the Ford company.
All the tanks that invade Poland are Ford.
Right.
All the trucks are Ford. All the tires are American tires.
Fine.
The Americans have invented synthetic fuel.
Right.
And the Germans don't have much oil or access to it.
Yeah, of course.
So, but they get the synthetic fuel patent from the Americans, which essentially powers the entire war machine. So
they don't really have oil fields until they get Romania and stuff.
What they also do, what Hitler does, is that he basically copies and pastes the writings of an American eugenicist and puts it in Mein Kampf. Right. And the Nazis, the German racial, they call eugenics racial hygiene. Ever the lyricists, the Germans, they can take something that's maybe quite lyrical and quite subtle, and they just fucking spell it out. Yes, racial hygiene. I see what you mean. So they take basically. There's a big eugenics movement in Berlin or in Germany that's separate to Hitler. But what they do when Hitler comes to power, because they're scientists who believe in eugenics, Hitler's like, okay, well, if we're going to do eugenics, you've got to take the Jews out, right? And they're not anti-Semites, but they go, well, for the good of eugenics, okay, we'll implement some anti-Semitic eugenics. So they're basically they like don't throw the baby out with the bathwater.
Well, who's your donors, right? It's like he's lobbying. The anti-Jew lobby, we've got to play to them.
We have to, if we want eugenics to survive, which we do because we're good guys, then we have to do it against
genocide Jews.
Right.
Yeah.
So, it's so much so that the Nazi euthanasia program, because it's one of the first things the Nazis do when they come to power. You know, you talk about your first 100 days. Yeah. First thing they do, when Blair comes in, on the first day, they nationalise the Bank of England. Right. But, they privatise, or they, whatever they do to Bank of England. And then everyone's like, oh, this is a Labour government that actually means business for business, blah, blah, blah. First thing Hitler does, sterilisation, mass sterilisation, anyone we don't like. That programme is heavily influenced and funded by the American euthanasia programme that was started in the 1910s.
Because they're the world leaders on it, euthanasia, Americans at this point.
The Americans are, this is before Buck versus Bell. So they've not got anything.
And wait, Buck versus Bell, the result of that trial was like Roe versus Wade, where they made it a federal thing where you can...
No, they said they were not, the Supreme Court, I think, I don't actually know what...
Was it a groundbreaking case?
I think so, but I don't really know in what it resulted in. But at the Nuremberg rallies after the war, there's another one with all the Nazi scientists and doctors after like the war criminals, and then they do another next wave, like where they get their ideas from. Oh, that's it. So Harry Laughlin is the inspiration that all the Nuremberg scientists, they claim, they're like, we just fucking copied what he was doing in America.
Yeah, so it's like a bad interviewer on a comedy podcast asking a comedian where he gets his ideas from. Yeah, but instead it's the Nuremberg trials.
Nuremberg trials. It's crucial to.
So where did you get your ideas from?
That's not how they said it. Hey guys, Adolf, where do you
get your crazy ideas?
Killing 6 million Jews. Where on earth do you get your ideas from? It was a guy called Harry Laughlin who wanted to standardise eugenics policies across all the states.
Right.
And the Germans just translate that and make it essentially law in 1933. Right. And then obviously it goes without saying that the Germans take what the Americans are doing and they run with it. They have a real field day.
I don't think they look back.
But it's Hitler's anti-Semitism. The only thing the Nazis really bring to the already quite vibes of eugenics is anti-Semitism.
That's their new shit.
That's all Hitler. So Hitler and the Nazis are anti-Semitic. Eugenics isn't really about the Jews at this point. Yeah. It's about disabled people. it's Hitler is like, let's get these guys involved, and I'm on board.
Yeah.
And so I think we've reached the nadir of humanity. We've reached the Holocaust. We have traced over these 2 episodes the terrible perversion of a pure nerdy British bug catcher's ideas into the origins of eugenics and the Holocaust. There's also, we haven't talked about the Darwin Awards, which is quite funny.
What's that?
You know the Darwin Awards?
No.
Oh, the Darwin Awards are it's an internet award system for videos of people who have like done something stupid and died.
Right.
Have died.
Well, like you've been framed.
It's you've been framed, but they died in every video. Darwin Awards recognize individuals who have supposedly contributed to human evolution by selecting themselves out of the gene pool by dying by their own actions. So, what are some of the winners? Early posts cite an example of a person who tried to break into a vending machine and was crushed to death when he pulled it over on himself. A man who strapped a jet-assisted takeoff unit to a Chevrolet Impala in the Arizona desert and who died on the side of a cliff as his car achieved speeds of 300 miles an hour.
That is natural selection. That's not social engineering.
No.
That is just the invisible hand of nature.
Yeah, I'm selecting myself out of the gene pool. That's what this is. But what I wanted to say is we have reached the end of the perversion of Darwin's ideas. Yeah. We have reached the horror of the Holocaust. And I can now reveal that next week we will be dealing with something related to the Nazis. Finally. We
fucked around.
We've been treading water for too fucking long.
Yeah.
I've been edging myself for fucking 3 months.
We've gone through medieval Mongolia.
I can't believe we did the medieval Mongolians before we got to Hitler, personally. But we will be doing something related to the Nazis next week on the pod. If you want all 7 parts, I'm saying it now, if you want all 7 parts of that series, it'll probably be 3, sign up to the Patreon, where you also get bonus Friday episodes. But either way, thanks so much for checking us out, and we shall see you next week.
Goodbye.
Auf Wiedersehen.